What was the thought process behind 2 weeks time?
Just a time to see whether or not people come to their senses.
Did the Europeans help at all in talking with the Iranians?
No, they didn't help. No. Iran doesn't want to speak to Europe. They want to speak to us. Europe is not going to be able to help in this.
Europe is pointless. They can't do squat. Iran wants to talk to us. I gave them 2 weeks, and we're going to see what happens at the end of that 14 days.
Does Iran have 2 weeks, or could you strike before that? Are you essentially giving them a 2-week timeline?
I'm giving them a period of time. We're going to see what that period of time is, but I'm giving them a period of time, and I would say 2 weeks would be the maximum.
Yeah, and this leads to another one of President Donald Trump's doctrines, which has been widely publicized, which we've heard Donald Trump say over and over and over again. It's part of America First. It's part of the whole thing. It's part of what Donald Trump ran on. It's part of how Donald Trump governed in his first administration. It's how Donald Trump's governing now, and that is peace through strength. And people, Donald Trump says, I'm a president of peace. I don't want any new wars. I don't want these never-ending wars. I don't want us to be sending our military men and women away from their homes and their families and their jobs. I don't want us sending them all over the country, all over the world. I don't want to have to ship our equipment and do all and kill people. I don't want people to die. Donald Trump tried to end the war in Ukraine because he didn't want people to die. Guess who does, apparently? Vladimir Zelensky and Vladimir Putin. They're fine with people dying, apparently, because neither one of them is really coming into the table and stepping up to end that war. Donald Trump says, we're not going to do that with Iran. They can't have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to allow them to kill anyone else. And we're going to give them 2 weeks to come to their senses and end this thing. And just because I threaten a strike, or just because I say I'll drop a bunker buster on that bunker and bust up their uranium supply and destroy them and knock them back to the Stone Age so they can never have a nuclear weapon, which again has been one of Donald Trump's core components of his foreign policy forever. Just because I may or may not do that, it doesn't mean that I'm not still a peacemaker, because peace through strength means sometimes you got to be strong. That's the part everyone forgets.
Would you like the president to be that of a peacemaker? Do you worry that striking Iran would change that?
Always a peacemaker. That doesn't mean sometimes you need some toughness to make peace, but always a peacemaker.
Always a peacemaker, never a bride. Wait, is that how that's like? No, always a peacemaker, but sometimes in order to make peace, you got to blow some stuff up. I mean, that's basically what he's saying, and he's not wrong. And here's the difference. Donald Trump and the rest of the warmongers in Washington, D.C., on the Democrat side and on the Republican side, because they're both, the Donald Trump and the warmongers in Washington, D.C., they have very different ideals. The warmongers in Washington, D.C., they say, okay, let's just bomb something small and send a message. And then Iran bombs something small. And then we go back and bomb something else. And then there's troops here and troops there. And then all of a sudden, the war continues forever. And the stock prices for all of these military, companies, the Lockheed Martins, the Boeings, the armories, all that stuff, they skyrocket. And all of these Democrats and all these Republicans who've invested in those stocks, they make a lot of money. So never-ending wars are great for campaign cash. Donald Trump doesn't care because he's got his own cash. Also, he ain't campaigning for anything else anymore. Donald Trump wants peace. And so Donald Trump says, instead of doing that, instead of bombing something little or sending like a message like, you better stop, instead of a slap on the wrist, Donald Trump is like, let's take a baseball bat, smash him in the skull one time, and then they probably will get the message and they won't act up anymore. It's always a peacemaker. And sometimes that strength is necessary. Somebody else asked about Israel because apparently Donald Trump was asked by Iran to get Israel to stop. I hadn't heard this, but Donald Trump was like, that's basically not going to happen.
Mr. President, the Iranian foreign minister this afternoon said if the U.S. is serious about negotiations, that you would call up Israel and request that they stop their airstrikes. Will you make that request?
Well, I think it's very hard to make that request right now. If somebody's winning, it's a little bit harder to do than if somebody's losing. But we're ready, willing, and able, and we've been speaking to Iran, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're winning. If Israel could just keep battling, they could just keep pounding Iran for another 2 weeks, and probably the war would be over. So of course Iran wants Israel to stop. Donald Trump's not going to allow that to happen. If you're Patrick Mahomes and what's that team he plays for? The Kansas City Chiefs, and you're up ahead, 35-7 in the Super Bowl, and the other coach in the third quarter says, hey, you just want to call it a draw? You're going to be like, no, we're going to finish this game and we're going to destroy you. We're going to walk away with the Lombardi. And that's what Israel's thinking. Israel's out there going, we got this. we're fine. Israel's like, we will continue to wage war because we know at the end of the war we'll win. And Iran's like, we know that we already, look, they don't have the same military strength that Israel does. They don't have the same number of high-tech weapons and airplanes and bombs as Israel does. They don't have the technology. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the public sentiment. They are facing all kinds of backlash from their own citizens who are right now calling for some kind of uprising and overthrow. Plus, they don't have a nuclear weapon, we believe, which is one of the reasons why this war is raging right now anyway, and Israel does. And on top of all that, they have no allies. Not a one. There ain't one country calling up Israel going, yo, man, we got you. The United States is sitting. Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu have a group chat with Marco Rubio and a couple of other Jewish people, and they're texting back and forth, and they are like, it's going great. Okay, cool. Keep me posted. I got your back. You need anything, let me know. Iran has nobody. Russia's not helping Iran. China's not helping Iran. North Korea's not helping Iran. Nobody is helping Iran. Donald Trump was wise enough to put forward economic policies and economic agreements with all of these superpowers before this war began. And so he now has a vested interest. China has a vested interest in the United States. Russia has a vested interest in the United States. All of these countries have a vested interest in the United States. And as far as the Middle East goes, Donald Trump just got trillions of dollars worth of investments from the Middle East. They don't want to see this whole thing blow up. They want to make some moolah. Donald Trump knows that. And that's why he knows that Iran eventually will have to back down. And if they don't, he had a stark warning for Iran too, if they tried to fight back against us.
If there is an attack on U.S. assets, will you promise to conduct a full investigation and make it transparent with the American people before blaming Iran for such an attack?
Well, if there's an attack, we'll know almost immediately with modern equipment who made the attack. And those people will be very, very unhappy.
Prime Minister,
I want to get you people out of danger. You're in danger standing with me.
I want to get you people out of danger. I'm trying to protect you, but they're like, would you do a full if any of our troops are attacked, would you do a full investigation? Donald Trump's like, absolutely not. If our troops are attacked, we know who attacked our troops. If there's any harm brought to the fighting men and women or any of our assets over there in the Middle East, we know instantly. Who does this guy think he is? We need to do an investigation. We know who's attacking us, when they're attacking us, how they're attacking us, and we know how to get back at them. And Donald Trump knows it, and Iran knows it, and everybody knows it, except, of course, for this idiot reporter, apparently. But really, what do idiot reporters really even know? Listen, if you would like to help us get to Washington, D.C. so we can help President Donald Trump create peace around the world through strength, so we can make sure we have combative conservatives fighting every single day in Congress, then we're going to need your help. MarkKforCongress.com is the website address. I put it in the description of this video. MarkKforCongress.com. Click on the link, make a donation of any kind. We are battling our primary opponent on August 18th, 2026 to make sure that we don't have rhinos who vote with Democrats and go to Washington, D.C. simply to make millions by stock trading, like our current representative does. We want to make sure that we've got good, solid, America first, MAGA Republicans, conservative, combative Republicans who are interested in one thing and one thing only, and that is putting America first and making America great again. Mark K for Congress. It's right there on the hat. Go to MarkKforCongress.com.